because sometimes it takes a while to catch up for the various places we go live on.
Yeah.
Take a little while to get going.
I don't think I've met Tony before, so it's nice to meet you, Tony.
My pleasure.
Tony is one of our new guys from Calgary.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then Kyle is in the States right now, and I'm in Edmonton.
Cool.
Yeah. Not yet. Soon it will be.
Edmonton, soon. Okay. Understood.
I got to get through that dad jokes in. I was doing a doubleheader Maple Seed this weekend, so I'm still on it right now.
That's awesome.
All the dad jokes, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, that should be enough time for the streaming services to catch up to us. We'll start.
Welcome to Slamfire Radio, episode 620, recording live on August 27th, 2025. I'm your host, Cowtown Tony.
I'm another host, Kyle.
And you will see Adriel jump on later with our main topic. We'll start with what we did in guns. Kyle, what have you done in guns?
Well, I guess kind of a couple weeks because I was the one that was late last week. So, the other weekend I shot a local match here in Carlsbad, and yeah, wasn't bad. Shot my PCC. The new buffer spring, definitely better. The extra couple pounds on that buffer spring really helped with chambering and that bolt cycling. So that was good. I did kind of inadvertently decide that I didn't need my Go Fast shoes that day. So I ended up wearing my Hey Dudes, which they're basically slip-on loafers, really like lounging shoes. And so that was interesting. I felt like I couldn't, or I did hold back on my movement a little bit just because fear of flying out of my shoes. And there was one video where it looked like I was ready to fly out of the shoes, but still ended up walking away second overall for the day.
There you go.
So yeah, it wasn't too bad, but definitely gotta tighten that stuff up, and well, for one, get my shoes. But yeah, I was happy with my shooting. Still a few too many Charlies than I really wanted, but still wasn't horrible. No deltas, no mics, no shoots. So kind of messed up on a classifier, but yeah, that stuff happens.
Did you upgrade on your classifier yet, or?
No, I'm still a B. So, which actually right now I don't want to class up.
You want to win the B division?
Well,
jeez, man.
It's not just winning the B division. It's because the amount of people that are in B division versus A division, there might be prizes for like second or third if I don't quite win B. I think I told you guys offline, based off how I performed last year, I'm actually gunning to win the whole thing in PCC.
Just do that.
So yeah, but I think it would just be funnier if a B class went and did that. So we'll see. Based on, because last year on my scores, I shot at a master level at that match. So like if you look at the percentages, and that percentage wise, it was a master level score. So I'm just, obviously I suck at classifiers. I'm just hoping that match experience and I can just dial everything in for the match, because unfortunately there are no grandmasters registered for sectionals. It's just there's a half a dozen masters, like a few A's, there's another like 7 B's. So like B class right now is the largest class for PCC at sectionals.
Interesting.
So yeah, I'm going to sectionals wanting and gunning for just the overall PCC. So, yeah. So with that, I think we're gonna do a steel challenge this weekend. So I'll really start driving that gun and see what I can do there. Kind of use that as a little bit of practice for driving the gun, and it'll be nice because it's not focusing on the movement or anything. It's just, okay, drive that gun. And steel is really great for the instant feedback.
Sure.
But I've been playing around with some 3D printing again, and printing up some stuff. So I played around, printed out some ARDs and a sunshade for my optic. So there's a little ARD I printed up for just to fit into the lens cap of my scope. So that just fits right in there.
Was it print in place or was it 2-piece, right?
Yeah, no, it's print in place. So I just printed this piece right here,
Got it. Okay.
and then got the diameter set so that it just slides right into the lens cap.
Awesome.
And it just fits perfect. You just slide that on. You can still put the flap down to protect it from weather. And you just flip it up and you got your ARD. And then I also printed this sunshade. I didn't design it. I just found the file and scaled it appropriately. And
Ooh, it's a little tight.
it's snug. But I didn't want to have to do a screw or anything. So I played around with the scaling on this quite a bit. But I also printed an ARD for in it as well.
Very nice.
So we'll see how it works. Because Texas this year, there was probably the only real time where I really noticed it. But get that sun a little bit in your face, and it just washed out my whole scope. So
How much does a ARD help if you have a sun like in front of you?
if it's like direct, like dead on, I can't imagine. Now, disclaimer: I've never actually shot with an ARD, so. But
Fair.
I would think with the way that is, it still have to be off axis a little bit. It couldn't be like directly in
Right.
front. But if it was a little bit off axis, and that's why I think with the sunshade, doing the combo might help with certain situations. But we'll see how it works out. And then I had that Gridfinity stuff. But started actually doing some more 3D printing, organizing bins and whatnot using the Gridfinity setup. And so finally started getting that set up and storage for my gun bench. And back to the PCC, I don't know see if Buddy has a new barrel, but I basically just determined I need a new barrel. Did some playing with it.
That quickly.
Just I might be able to solve it if I reloaded, but right now the projectile is actually getting onto the lens, and that's why it's hanging up where it's really tight to, like, if I stop shooting a stage, it gets really tight to rack out that last round. And I took a Sharpie, pulled the bolt and whatnot, and you could see all around it was hitting the lens, so I need a new barrel for that. I don't know if I'll get that in time for sectionals or not, because I really don't want to be spending money on that right now, but I do have a buddy that might have a spare barrel that I might be able to borrow, so I have to message him and see.
So like the chamber is super, super short in a sense.
And I did some looking, and it just seems like that's the way some barrels are. Like the PCCs are real interesting because you can't head space them, and so I mean I could get a reamer and deal with it. Like I probably could deal with it myself, but I really don't want to mess that up. So if Buddy's got a
Fair.
barrel, I'll put a barrel on it. If not, I probably fight with what I have. Maybe
I'm
ask him
just-
for permission. Hey, okay, you got the time recorded? Okay, can I fire this round?
I'm just thinking, how do you say, like coming up in January the 1st, then you could have a free SBR. Well, depending on if your status will allow it, then you can have a short barrel on your PCC.
Well,
Isn't that more beneficial?
MBX makes them, they're just shrouded, and it's still 16-inch
true.
pin and welded. So,
But that's still not as good as a short barrel.
well,
Well, I guess it's easier to travel with.
Like that's the thing, especially with competition guns. I don't care about short barrel. mean,
Well, you're
my AR 16-inch barrel. When I was in Canada, I was running an 18.5-inch barrel, and I grip
That's
so far
interesting.
out on, like, if you look at my PCC that's hanging up there, like I grip pretty far out on that as is.
That's fair.
And so, like, that's the thing. I that's me personally. I don't really care that much about short barrels. I don't find I have an issue getting around. Yes, or sometimes going around a barricade where, yeah, maybe. But you just, a lot of the times you just do what you're supposed to, and you don't have to bury into that port. You don't have to bury into that position. Sometimes you do, but a lot of times match directors will try and trick you into thinking, oh, I got to bury right into here, and you take a couple steps back, and no, you don't.
That's fair. That's
But
fair.
that's just me. Somebody out there is going to want super sharp barrel. I don't really care.
It's fair. And I feel like maybe my experience is a little biased where I'm mostly shooting pistol specific matches and they're trying to make things tight, and then
Oh yeah.
my 19-inch spear just seems way too long trying to go in and out.
Oh, and there's definitely stages where I look at, especially shooting with pistol, and I was like, it's like, yeah, no, the pistol would be so much faster on this stage than my PCC. But going down to a 14-inch barrel or a 12-inch barrel on my PCC wouldn't make that big of a difference. It would
That's
still
true.
be pistol was better for that particular deal. So I don't know. My personal opinion, whatever it's worth. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Yeah, just keep trying to get going for sectionals. How about you, Tony? What you get up to?
Actually, I have a last question for you.
Okay.
For USPSA majors, because
Yep.
for USPSA matches you have to have classifiers. For major matches like sectionals, is that still a requirement?
Well, no, you don't have to have classifiers. You go in as unclassified. Same thing as IPSC. You don't need to have
No, no, no,
classifiers.
not your score, but like stages.
Oh, so yeah, like IPSC, they're so they're similar, except for a lot of our stuff ends up being a level 1 match, where a lot of the stuff, especially Alberta, all the IPSC matches in Alberta are level 2. So that's why those matches are considered on your match performance. USPSA has that, but you need so many grandmasters and whatnot, and all your club matches end up being just level 1s. And
I don't
so
think
we'll
I'm
hold
asking it right.
classifier stages. We'll hold classifier stages to get classified.
But is it? I thought it was a requirement, like as a part of an official USPSA match, you have to have this many classifier stages.
Yes, throughout the year. No, not per match. Throughout the year, we need to shoot. I can't remember what it was. It's a low number, like maybe like 5 classifiers a year, and we need to hold 7 USPSA matches and multi-gun counts in order to keep your standing with USPSA.
Got it. So I'm misunderstanding the issue then.
Yeah, the
Got
match
it.
itself, like we can hold, like we've done that. Just hold a all classifier match. Boom, there's your classifiers done for the year.
Got it. Okay, so you don't have to like say because you have 4 stages, one of them have to be a classifier.
No, we
Okay.
can run an entire match without classifiers if we want.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. I think we did that before too. I don't know if BTSA is gonna keep its USPSA association this year. Maybe it might try to rush it in the end of the year, just to get it going. But yeah, it's been for BTSA relatively a slow year.
Like I can see with BTSA them saying, "Hey, we need to do this many per match because of such a shortened shooting season and how many matches they're going to put on throughout the year." Yeah, they have it broken out where, okay, in order to meet our classifiers and our matches, this is what we need to do. We hold a minimum 12 matches a year. So
you're all good, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I did a few things in guns. So talked to Vortex. I don't know if y'all heard the story, but Basically, they respond very quickly within 24 hours for my magnifier, and they gave me basically the part list. Whatever you want, we can send it to you. So that's very cool of them. Thank you, Daryl at Vortex Canada. And I'll be having new screws for my lower 1/3 coincidence mount because it's kind of loose on there. If I'm using the without the plate mount, the low mount, it seems fine. If I'm using the high mount, it seems fine. So I can only assume it is the screws. If not, then maybe the screw holes have problems. Then I'll send them back and they'll probably fix it that way. What else? Oh yeah. So last week I mentioned that for my 450 Bushmaster reloading, that my rounds don't chamber properly because I didn't size them. So after that, well, the top row is 308, but I did size them and they're still pretty tight, but I can get them into the chamber. And I did that before I primed the cases, especially for ARs or firearms with floating, non-spring loaded floating firing pins. You don't want to be jamming on the thing, especially in your house, because you don't know if it's gonna, especially not don't do full ammunitions. If you want to pop a primer in your house, maybe it's not a crime in Canada. I don't know, but I wouldn't suggest it.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. So like I was mentioning with my PCC, what I was doing with that, I pulled the firing pin out of the bolt so that I could test that. Like I had some demo rounds and say, okay, I wanted to test the actual ammo I was using. So yeah, I just pulled the firing pin out of the bolt and tried it that way. And it was literally just the upper sitting there, drop it in, slide the bolt in or whatever. But yeah, no, good point.
Yeah, but what I found out is it doesn't really matter if I size the brass or not. When I size the brass, virgin brass because it is, there was very little resistance. The brass hasn't expanded due to firing or anything. And if I jam it with the same force on the bolt, they will both go in. I was just not jamming on the bolt hard enough because it was a straight bolt gun. But so maybe it's okay. We'll only find out after I've properly torqued the barrel nut and see how things are lining up that way. And I didn't go to the range to zero my rifle because my magnifier is in this wobbly state. Although it's probably fine because you don't zero a magnifier. Your adjustment on the magnifier only centers the reticle, so it doesn't actually change anything. But I do have two spiky boys here. There's this YouTube person on the interweb. I don't know if he is a scam or not, called the Hunting Gear Guy, and he highly recommends Spy and Carcano. So I saw them on sale. I have a friend, my Thunder Bay friend, as I have mentioned previously. He's graduating, so he is finally moving out of residence, which means he can finally put his POW to good use. It's like, I want a bolt action gun, but I don't want to spend a lot of money. It's like, how about this? Bolt action? It's like, okay. So they were on sale, so I bought two. I thought I'll get one for myself as well for a good price. You would think they will be right next to each other in the case and will be like stablemates that way, but they are not. The first one, this one is a 1933 production, and you'll see you will have a hexagon chamber. Both of them are not the 38 spec, which would have the roller coaster side deleted, and this particular one have the mid-cycle lever style bayonet release. The other one, similar idea, similar finish. They're, I wouldn't say crude, but they're just not very well maintained over the 100 and some years. Well, no, almost 100 years. Yeah, these are not even 100-year-old yet. But this one have an odd stamping on the back that says 1983. So I have no idea where it went after it was produced in Italy. Similar thing, but round chamber this time, and built in 38. So still like inter two wars period, but this one have the finalized improved version of the button release Betnet. So a little bit different. Both chambered for a 6.5 Carcano, of course, and they uses in-block clips, like Mannlicher style clips they call it. Not quite the same as the M1 Grand, but similar ideas. You will find them both in this brass style or the steel style, which apparently the brass ones are more common for World War One, and then the steel ones are more common issue for World War Two. Because they're rimless, they are lined up in a single file, which means you can load them either way, which is a benefit at the time. But the thing is, the two cartridges on the end are not retained, so this is likely to happen. So I'm not a huge fan. You have to like
fix that.
No, because they just don't have the retaining rails in the last one. That's how they feed, right? And to make them double-sided, they kind of have to do this,
Fair
which
enough.
I understand. But that means the only good way to carry is like this way. But I guess if you're a soldier back in the day, maybe you have some kind of a pouch to do it. Yeah, but even just they'll jostle kind of loose, so not a fan in that regard. But we'll see. These are, I forgot to bring the box to a show. These are 140 some grains PPU, and they are FMJs, but they have a distinct kind of round nose to them, which is more correct to the originals. The originals launched a 162 grain bullet. That's why if you see some of the previous videos where Adriel talked about his, these guns with modern ammo shoots very high because the old style bullet give it a very different trajectory. Also did some reloading because Battle of Alberta is coming up. So I loaded some 223 for my PAR. I noticed a lot of the 223 federal brass have kind of a crimp on them, and I guess I didn't remove them too cleanly, so I did booger up a few of the primers in there. So this will be my test strip of ammo. The rest are pretty decent, but just take a note of that. It's not just the NATO brass would have this kind of military style crimp on it for some reason. For a lot of the federal, even 223, they decided to do that. Maybe they just got old machines and that's easier for them just to produce it that way. That would be my guess. Yeah, so that's about it. Quite a few things done in guns. Not really at the range, but oh shoot,
Same.
I also shot a shotgun pistol match at the BTSA on a weekday. That's why I forgot about it, because it wasn't on a weekend. But it seems that if I take more of an aimed approach with this particular shotgun here, everything shoots pretty correctly. But then
It'll take some time to get it natural.
I feel like now this is my new rifle. So just like slowing down for every shot, which again, I'm not out there to win the club match, and since there's pistol mixed in there, pistols are doing generally better just because the reloading part. But
You quad loading yet?
no, I'm trying dual loading though, so I'm
So
getting
you're at
there
least loading two.
at the time. Yes,
Okay.
so that's improvements. Well, also
Well, it's a lot better than single loading off a chest rig or bandolier. So
it's true, but I'm still pretty slow on it, so it's not great.
I would just jump right to the quad, take it slow, jump right to the quad.
That's fair, but
Because a slow
Again, it's
quad's still going to be faster than a mediocre two
dual
load
load.
twos.
That's fair. But I think my shotgun journey is still long. So we'll see about that. All right, let's go to upcoming events. I see that Maple Seed just sent out an email today. August 16th has already passed, so that doesn't count. So September 13th, on two of them in Ontario, Lady C at Blue Ridge Sportsman Club and Smiths Falls Fish and Game on the same day, Ontario. And the weekend after that, September 20th, Eganville, Eganville, and District Sportsman Club, also in Ontario. On the 21st, Alberta Rocky Rod and Gun Club. On the 27th in Ontario, EOSC, Eastern Ontario Shooting Club. That was apparently sold out, but you can join the wait list. And also on the 27th in Alberta, there is one in Kananaskis, KGAC in Alberta. Oh, and the 28th, Lady Seed in Long Butte Fish and Game in BC. And after that, we're probably winding down for most of the center part of Canada. Ontario still have a few going. For events, go to mapleseedrifleman.com.
Cool.
Let's see, HGG Firearm Training. He's got one coming. Well, he's reducing the schedule to about once a month. September 13th and 14th at Shower Park Fish and Game. And non-restricted on the Saturday, I'm assuming, and restricted on the on the following Sunday. Ontario Rifleman Association. I don't know if there's still events going on. Dave is not on. I just take a quick look. Doesn't look like it. The calendar seems a little empty right now. Okay. And more 3-gun matches coming up. I think there's still spots for Battle of Alberta, which will be on, well, starting Saturday and Sunday, 6th and 7th September. And multi-gun at Shower Park on the 20th. That's both in September. Chaz have one on the 4th of October. And Mighty Peace 3-gun team match also on the 4th. I'm guessing 4th and 5th of October.
Yeah, that'll be weekend. Full weekend deal.
Awesome. And then October 18th, Shore Park Fish and Game.
Cool.
Awesome. Let's go to the news. I curated the news for this week, so it's going to be mostly Alberta related. And considering we're entering September very soon, hunting related. So hopefully you don't mind. There's a few things. Let me share my screen over here. All right, so the first one is somewhat related to the earlier announcement in the year about how Alberta hunting is changing. And supposedly we will be able to do what normal people do, which is print your own tags and zip tie it to the deer. Apparently that pilot is on hold until further notice. So
I'd like to know who you're talking about, these normal people printing off tags.
Ontario, Wisconsin, like a lot of states I remember does that. Maybe I watch too much Meat Eater. That could be
because yeah.
Is it, how is it in New Mexico? Is it also the stickies?
Yeah, I got mailed stickies.
Okay.
Like I got mailed a tag. It wasn't to print off. Even because Alberta you could buy them online, but you had to go get them printed. BC, granted, that was probably over 10 years ago. That last time I was dealing with BC, but you bought a little book and then you notched your tag, and then you got a sticker to put on each page in this little booklet, and then you notched out it. And like actually printing off my own hunting license, I actually haven't physically seen that.
Interesting, but I know the saying of the tag is notched often from US shows, but like in Alberta there's nothing to notch.
Yeah, but that's not printing out your own tag. That's literally cutting a notch out of it, and then it'll actually be the month and day that you shot it.
Right.
The date that you shot it.
Yeah. Well, at least Kelly mentioned Ontario's like that, so.
Yeah.
That's one thing. What else did I want to show? Oh yeah, the 2025 Alberta hunting regulation book is out, and I guess CW situation in Alberta is not getting any better, and there is a mandatory CWD head submission plan, so to speak. Go check the book. Here's the rough overview. And they have expanded the collection to you have to submit both whitetail and mule deer heads now.
Oh,
It
really?
used to be primarily mule deer, and less significantly whitetails. And I found it funny because 2024 was the year I started, and the three things that's mentioned on the bottom is a mandatory deer head submission. Okay, it makes sense. You got to submit both. Mandatory mule deer only. Okay, you gotta submit your mule deer heads, which is fine. And then mandatory mule deer voluntary whitetail, whatever that means. Like, how
It
is
means you
it
may make the
any
choice of submitting
different?
it or not.
But the thing is, Alberta will accept any cervid heads if you want to. They'll test it for free. So like the voluntary whitetail part is kind of redundant. It's just tell us it's mandatory mule deer. I don't know. I found it a little funny, but this year doesn't matter. Well, I don't know if elk and moose count. Probably not, but
No,
you
because elk
can.
and moose aren't considered deer. They're of the ungulate family, but they're not considered
Right.
deer.
I guess, but if you're in
Because like when
the
it says mandatory deer head submission, elk and moose won't be included in that.
yeah, I would imagine so, or at least I
Or else it would
expected them
say
to be
deer, moose, and elk.
moose and elk. Yeah, I would think so. But if you're basically anywhere along Highway 2 and towards the east on the
It's kind of interesting. There's a corridor in there where it's not. It's basically the Edmonton Calgary corridor up to, what is that, north of Cold Lake or just north
yep.
of Edmonton there. And then it's a few spots on the eastern.
eastern border with Saskatchewan, correct?
Yeah. But
And that's apparently where it's first detected. So it is odd in a sense where it's selective, but I guess I'll let the biologist explain that at a later date. You will be able to find the 24-hour stinky freezer locations online. So
you got the regs there. So CWD submission is different this year. Why don't you go to the page with the major changes and let's see what major changes are for this year for Alberta. Because they'll have a page on like major changes for 2025. Important changes, yeah.
So from what I remember, it's the things we've brought up before, like minimum hunting ages.
Elk season extended to February 28th. Harvest report submitted by March 15th.
I don't see anything about CWD, so. Oh, yep. Mandatory submission for whitetail deer and mule deer heads for CWD. Well, this is pretty clear. Elk is not deer.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah,
That's how I would read it. Yeah, and yeah, basically minimum changes to your hunting ages. You have to, I guess, recover your edible game bird.
Well, I mean,
pieces.
like there was some stuff there, like you're
Oh, did I scroll past it?
turkey can be now hunted with any weapon that is not prohibited for hunting upland game birds.
Huh. Can we hunt?
I'd have to sit down with it, but yeah, it looks like there's definitely some changes.
Yeah, definitely some changes, and you can use the 22 now, center fire. So 223, 22 250, 22 Creed, da 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 da. You can have a lower draw weight for your bulls, and you can have a tracking dog. Have to be on leash to track.
Oh, they reduced it to 20 to 35 pounds. Ooh,
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that.
What was the old 45 or the 50?
45.
Hmm.
I believe 45 or
I
might
saw
have been
it's
50.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that one.
which is a fair concern. I'm I don't know much about bow hunting except watching people do on YouTube.
I mean, you'd be close. You'd have to be close and have really good broadheads. But
But even
at 35
with,
pounds, I don't know if I'm doing any elk or moose.
oh god, I would sure hope not. But it's
Like-
just like, even with a well placed shot, good equipment, they still
Well,
take off running.
I mean, it's that old argument. Yeah, you can take a 22 long rifle and you can kill a lot of stuff with that shot placement.
Yeah.
So how much do you want to rely on that perfect shot placement?
What do you,
I literally, I don't know how I feel about it. I know where I'm leaning, but I kind of don't want to lean that way because power isn't everything.
isn't everything, but it could.
But like,
It's-
it's just, yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, it's a balancing, right? I guess since they lowered it to 223, they thought maybe it was fine. It's like saying,
Well, I mean, yeah, you can't really compare 223 to 35-pound bow weight.
right, that's true too. And
Like-
from what I see, firearms are just a lot more lethal in that regard. It gives
Well, you got more range. As far
That
as more
too.
lethal, I mean, my bow at 4 yards literally turned a heart to liquid. So
that's fair.
it's got more range. They're both equally lethal. They just got more range. You know,
Bow hunting is difficult. Are you
Yeah.
gonna do that in the States or no?
I'd love to. Yeah.
Do they get extended? Do you get any kind of
There's
extended
there's
seasons?
special seasons for archery.
Cool.
The thing is, like New Mexico, most of the stuff is draw. There's not a lot for just over-the-counter general season here.
Do they have anything that's over the counter or no?
Yeah, you can get some oryx, you can get Barbary sheep. There is some stuff that you can get over the counter. And that's for like big game, and then there is some birds that you can do. But yeah, like there's not a whole lot for over the counter in New Mexico.
Cool. And if you're interested in CWD stuff, most of the provincial governments have sites about it. Even Ontario did, until I found out they actually don't have CWD in Ontario, which is interesting to me. But yeah, here's your breakdown on the data from the 2024-2025 hunting season. And apparently more than a quarter of all the mule deers they tested were CWD positive, which seems a little crazy to me.
Well, I guarantee you that all the deer they tested were from the CWD areas.
That's true, because they're
I mean,
Wow.
there's a lot more deer than that get taken that never saw a test.
that is true. That is true. But to me, I would, at this point in my life, I'll probably submit everything just because I
If-
can and it doesn't hurt me, except I have to bring the head over to Cabela's in Calgary, which is fine by me.
Yeah, well, you're in an area that's surrounded by mandatory. Whatever. Up in Grand Prairie, I wouldn't. That's not a CWD area. I wouldn't submit in Grand Prairie.
That's true. That's fair. Even
You know,
although
even if,
even,
like if a person like I think Wainwright as an area wasn't in the mandatory. If I was in Wainwright, I would actually consider it because you're kind of right smack dab in the middle of two CWD areas within an hour, 2 hours. So I mean, I'd have to take a close look at that map, but
well, this
Yeah,
was
what?
2024 map, yeah, but
you know,
you know what?
I don't think
Even
the
if
areas
I-
changed. The areas changed to mandatory. So
I think they expanded it slightly, like not
Okay.
much. I think more to the west now. The eastern side, I don't think they changed it. But even if I lived in Fort Mac, I think I still would.
in
Wow.
Fort Mac, really?
It cost me nothing. I donated to science. Yay. I don't know. I watched again, I watched too much media, but it seems to be an interesting topic, at least to me,
Yeah,
where
fair enough.
and I don't mad cow disease happened when I was quite young, so I don't think that really had any kind of effect on me personally, except I think there was a import ban in China for Canadian beef product, like long after. It's more of a trade war thing instead of like a what do you say, disease control thing. But I just found it kind of interesting. So that's about the news for
Okay.
this week. Is there anything from the States? I
Nah.
think the P320 thing is still going on and there hasn't been a
Yeah,
definitive
well,
answer
there's
yet.
something interesting there. The Air Force has put the M18s back in service.
Really?
Yes, they did some testing,
Okay.
and from what I've heard and seen, the failures that they experienced in their testing was attributed to worn parts. So they took basically all their M18s, went through them all, and they're back in service now. So
That's
yeah.
I gotta say I don't have a bias against the P320. I actually loved how they shot a was it X5 Legion? I think it was X5 Legion. I shot that. I shot a normal
Oh
one
yeah, that's
too.
gonna
I
shoot nice.
Yeah, it shoots really nice. Like I haven't had
I-
a dot gun that's so stable.
I was just about ready to. I was thinking about heading out to see. Oh, people are dumping them. Maybe I might pick one or two up because I'll test it and I'll get myself comfortable with it, or I'll prove it's not a safe firearm and it won't be shot. But if they're dumping them for cheap, then
And I think for our application, just to spore shoot was the risk is largely
oh no,
mitigated.
I don't want that thing going off unless
That's true.
my
That's
finger
fair.
is on the trigger. So, I mean, yeah.
But yeah, I found it a little concerning that warm parts, like at what rate warm parts are okay. I work in associated industry was like mechanical engines and stuff, and it's like there is by design there is an overhaul schedule, and if it doesn't meet that, that's kind of
Yeah, but
questionable.
this is the military we're talking. And I don't care if
That's
you're talking
true.
Canadian military, US military. I've heard horror stories about the weapons locker in the Canadian military, and I can only imagine the US is just as bad.
So they probably had really
Like,
hard lives.
To make it as a military weapon, it's not like a huge high mark, but it's basically got to like be very loose tolerances and just stay running because there's not a lot of care that goes into them.
Just add more oil. They'll run.
Yeah.
Well, that was what they did in the deserts, 2004.
Just put some sand in there. We'll just
Yeah. Buff out,
lap
buff
it.
out. Yeah. All right, let's go to new gun stuff. I have a few links to share with this one too. Let's see. First, it appears that our elbows are lowering from the elevated position, and it will appear that tariffs on the U.S. gun and ammo industry would be dropped by September the 1st. So, well, I Run Gun on CGN has this post, so hopefully,
Grain of
I don't-
salt.
I don't recall if there was a huge increase in ammo prices. I don't think so. But if
Well,
it can come down a
how
little bit
much?
more,
Well, I mean, you have to see how much was imported in that time, because if it's already been in the country, the price shouldn't be going up on it.
that's fair. But
Yeah.
well, business
I mean,
will try to.
It's I Run Guns, so grain of salt, but yeah.
Click here for the updated list provided by CVC. Oh, sure. Auto steel. Yeah, auto steel, whatever. Let's see. Ammo, guns and ammunition. So, sure.
Yeah.
Actually, quite a few things. Tobacco.
I was gonna say there's a lot on that list.
Bottled water. Really? I did not know that. Well, I guess there isn't. Yeah,
So
orange
is that
juice
the list of the tariffs they're dropping?
no longer subject to the Canadian tariff at the beginning of September. Yes.
Okay. So a bunch of food products, alcohol, tobacco, cosmetics,
Tires.
protein powder,
Interesting.
horse saddles. That's cool.
Clothing items.
that is a list. That is
quite a list.
I think it would be easier to say, hey, it's dropping on everything except for this.
I think except for steel,
Because I think at the top there you said
Aluminum.
like aluminum and steel products and
And
like
cars.
everything else is basically
yeah.
on auto, steel, and aluminum will remain for now. Wasn't that easy?
Well,
That is quite the list.
you know,
Wow.
lawyers got a lawyer, so
It's the news. There's no lawyers involved in that,
well,
especially CBC.
that's true. But I'm thinking like probably some lawyers and negotiator made this list or something. I don't know. Smoking lighters, and pipes. What are
As opposed to the
smoking lighters?
non-smoking,
Yeah,
the
it's-
non-smoking lighters.
Like the Zippo lighter is a smoking lighter or not? Now I'm very confused.
that lighter is specifically for smoking. This lighter is for lighting your candles. There's a difference.
This lighter is for assaulting. We're gonna ban that. It's an assault style lighter. All right, going to Profit River. They have this. This is a double-edged sword situation. Ruger American have released their Gen 2s, and now the Gen 2 ranches have come into the country to appear. But the prices on them has went up quite a bit. I'm guessing this might be post-tariff pricing, so this hopefully
thinking
will
so.
drop down to 1,000. Then it's more reasonable. You do get some upgrade. That I didn't buy a Ruger Ranch because the stock feels like a piece of plastic from a toy, and I hated that. And I think the Gen 2 has greatly improved on that. You get a Cerakote finish, which is great for corrosion resistance. And I think you get like cheek piece to play with too. So it is an improvement. At $12.75, it seems a little expensive, but if you're a member of the CCFR, you get 3% off at Profit River. So do that. Or it would appear that MRA Renegade Mark II receiver kits are available again for $8.99 at Maple Ridge's official store, Victory Ridge Sports, out in northern-ish Ontario, I want to say. So $89.99 for your receiver kit. You can slap all your air goodies on it. And I think that is all the new gun stuff for this week. Not too much, of course. But that's just the reality we deal with.
Oh, I guess something to add for news or future upcoming events. Alberta IPSC just held their first mini rifle match. So
Did they
sounds
just
like
held it? Yeah, well, I
yeah,
mentioned
I
it
think it was last
week.
weekend up in Fort Mac.
Yeah, I mentioned it last week that they are going on, so it's pretty cool. So that means I need to finish by 10:22 now. No excuses.
There's so much you're out
There's
there
so
buying
much money.
Carcanos, and there's more stuff that you need to do for 3-gun and IPSC.
I know it's not been a very competitive year. After the start of the year, I bought a rifle, and then someone decided that rifle is too dangerous, and I have to carry it with a box of shame without killing anyone on the way back through my 2 hours of driving. Anyway, how about we go to our main topic?
Yeah.
And for our main topic, we're welcomed by Matt, also known as Womfat on YouTube. Matt, welcome again to the show.
Thank you. It's good being here.
Why don't you introduce yourself for our listeners who maybe haven't heard you before?
Sure. So I'm Matt. I'm from the Ottawa area, and I basically shoot purist rimfire. And I've been doing it since I think 2020. I guess the reason Adriel asked me to be on today is to talk about the World Championship, the IPRF Rimfire World Championship that we just got back from last night. And that was running, I believe it was last week. From the opening ceremony was Tuesday, and then we had 4 days of competition from Wednesday till Saturday. So I finished that up with the team, Team Canada. There was 21 shooters from Canada that went down to participate. And then we just flew back on Tuesday. We spent a few days in London just checking out the area. So I just arrived back and I'm still jet lagged. So I apologize if I say anything a little bit like weird. It's just because I'm a little bit lacking sleep. And yeah, I just got back. But it was kind of cool. Adriel emailed me and asked if I'd be willing to come on. And I thought it'd be a great opportunity to sort of like share my experiences and talk about the event. It was really memorable in many different ways. So it was just amazing. So if you guys have any specific questions about the event or whatever you want to know, just ask me and I'll do my best to answer.
Maybe just to start off, so it was in the UK?
Yeah, it was in the UK this year. This was the second ever Rimfire World Championship. The first one was 2023. It's currently running every 2 years. So the first one I also participated in, that was in Italy. And this was my second go at it with the Canadian team. We had we had a fairly robust qualification process. So you had to apply with certain criteria. And then we chose, a full team is 22 shooters, but unfortunately one of our senior division shooters had to drop out very last minute. So we ended up sending 21 shooters to the UK. And there's, I believe, 5 different divisions. There's open. So open division is the only division with 6 shooters. And then the other 4 divisions have 4 shooters each: ladies, junior, senior, and factory. So that's how the 22 shooters is the number of that.
And then open versus what it was like production division, or what were the divisions like?
Yeah, so open division is basically unlimited. You don't have any sort of restrictions of what kind of gear you can use. There's no price limit or anything like that. And then factory, it's similar to PRS production division. The only difference is instead of having price limits you have to fall under, there are basically a list of approved rifles which have to be sort of off the shelf production rifles. But what's interesting about factory division for IPRF is there's no limit for your optics. So you could run a Zico optic on a factory rifle, and you have some very, very competitive rifle options in factory, such as the MPA factory rifles, which are basically like a rebranded Voodoo, and you have the new Anschutz APR. So some really, really high-end rifles fall into factory, and you can use any optic under the sun. Then we have ladies division, senior division, and junior, which are pretty self-explanatory.
That doesn't sound like a 1022 will be very competitive in the production category.
It's funny you mention that, because I don't think there's any semi-autos at all. Like I didn't see one for sure.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, not with that kind of, not with like rebranded Voodoos in factory.
No, exactly. Yeah. And well, actually, so I'll touch on that. We had, so of the 4 factory shooters we sent, 2 of them for Team Canada was left-handed. And when you're a left-handed shooter, you have much more limited options for factory approved rifles. So in a sense, they were slightly disadvantaged because the only one that we could get in time was the Bergara B14 Rs, which, I mean, it's a phenomenal rifle off the shelf. But when you're talking, because factory rifle, you can't change anything on it. If it comes in the plastic stock, you have to run the plastic stock. You can't even put an Arca rail on it. It has to be in the factory configuration. So Colin Hart and Rob Bishop, our left-handed shooters, were shooting the factory Bergara B14Rs against, some of the big dog factory rifles like the Victrix and the MPAs and the Anschutz and all these stuff. So, yeah,
pretty hot stuff out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want to be stuck in that position. I mean, the Bergaras were pretty good, but it's not like those are definitely getting out there.
Yeah.
You mentioned sourcing the rifles. Did you guys ship your rifles over, or did you have to get some sourced there?
So everybody brought their own rifle, but the approval process for the paperwork needed started months ago, and it was quite a slow process. Everyone was approved for the rifle, or in some cases 2 rifles, to bring there, and we had like police forms and everything you had to fill out. We had a few spare rifles because some people had 2 approved, just in case, in the event that someone needed a rifle or a loaner there. We did have a couple spares, but they were all our own.
Well, that's good. Yeah, we've been we've been talking recently about traveling internationally with firearms parts, and that kind of thing. That's, I guess, why we're curious. So tell us, the stages then were like pretty close to London, out in the countryside.
So well, my group of friends, we all flew into Heathrow, and then we had to drive about 3 hours. I think it was like northwest. So basically in the country. When you're talking PRS matches, generally they're out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So we stayed in a little town called Market Drayton, which was quite interesting because all the locals, like, it's not a touristy town. So when we'd go to the pub and stuff for dinner, they would always ask why we're even in the area. And our Airbnb was about 15 minutes away from the event location, which was in a little town called Hodnet, Hodnet. And it was at a beautiful, usually it's a shotgun facility called West Midlands Shooting Grounds. And they sort of redid an entire section of the range for PRS rimfire. And it's right adjacent to a motocross course. And so half of the match was on the motocross course and the other half was in the woods on the shooting range. So it was really cool.
PRS from motocross sounds fun, but I don't
yeah. Actually, one of the props for the stages was like the motocross starting gates that flip down. So those like rungs were the positions for that stage. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Speaking of, how were the stages? What were they like? Were they like a lot more challenging than a typical rimfire PRS match?
So I would suspect if you asked anybody that shot this match, they would say it's probably one of the hardest matches you'll shoot, which, I mean, fair enough, is the World Championship. Yeah. But generally speaking, there's 20 stages in total. So every competitor shot 2 out of the 4 days, 10 stages and 10 stages. So all the 20 stages were sort of full gas. There was no stage where you could sort of let up and take it easy. You really had to be on the ball every single time. The stage prep for all the stages was critical in performing well, and all of them demanded basically near perfection to score high because of the it was mainly the par time, because we shoot a lot with 105-second par time, a minute 45. For this match, all 20 stages was 90 seconds and 12 rounds, which is fairly spicy already. But added on top of that, they had a lot of positions. Most stages were 4 or more positions. I'd say 4 to 6 was average. There was one stage with 9 positions, another one with 12. So you really had to move. And the targets, given the venue, they weren't super easy to find. Like when you're shooting in a farm field and there's nothing in the field except for the targets, it's pretty easy to locate them. But when you're on a motocross track and there's like hills and dips, and then in the woods, target acquisition is a lot more difficult. And they had all the targets at different distances and things. And there was not a single stage where you would double tap a target. You would always shoot one target and then engage another one. Or you had to move positions if it was just a single target stage. So it was a very high level of difficulty overall, which, fair enough, you know, it's the highest level of competition you're going to shoot in like a PRS style match.
Well, and I like the idea of it being really challenging, because you wouldn't want to have a bunch of people like clearing all the stages. I'd rather like separate the best from not the best by
for sure. Yeah, it was very challenging, and I think the way things shook out really did put the best shooters at the top. So in that sense, it was great. And there's only a few off the top of my head. I think 3 of the 20 stages were just a single position, but they would have like 12 targets. So, and then 2 of those were prone, but huge angle pans from, you know, some targets to the other. So you had to move your whole position and your body and your rifle and everything. So even though it was one position, you still had a lot of movement to deal with. So I really enjoyed the course of fire overall. It was challenging, but a lot of fun.
Cool. And you did really well. I saw the scores.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Maybe tell us a little bit about like how the event went for you and which stages you did well at. And
yeah, for sure. So, well, first off, the entire event was scored on impact scoring, which is sort of like a new up and coming scoring system. So traditionally, like everything was on practice score. But the cool thing about impact scoring is since it's web based, scores are input live. So when the RO is standing there with the tablet and he's following your stage, as soon as he hits hit or miss for a shot, it's uploaded and live, so people could follow along. So you can go on impact scoring and look at the results and stuff and stage by stage breakdowns or whatever. But generally speaking, I was fairly consistent, which I was happy about because consistency in PRS is basically everything. So my worst stage, I dropped 3. Yeah, 3. So I think I had 2 stages that I got 9 on. Those were my worst. And then a bunch of them I dropped 1 and 2s, and I cleaned a couple of them as well. So generally I was performing quite consistently, which was really good for myself. I felt fairly confident, especially after day 1, or technically day 2, but my first day shooting, because I was sort of in the groove. There wasn't a single stage that I timed out, which in a way didn't surprise me because I can shoot pretty fast, but a lot of shooters were struggling with the tighter par times. So I sort of adapted the best I could in order to not leave any points on the table, but still, of course, you have to balance going fast with being stable and precision and all that. So I managed to, I was pretty close. I had some buzzer beaters, but I managed to get them off. And at the end of the day, I managed to place 3rd in open division, which was honestly, just really, really cool to place 3rd in the world. And the Canadian team also had some really good results as team placements. For us, for the Canadian team, we went into this more or less treating it like a truly group or like team-based event. Individually, obviously, you can get placements, but we were really concentrating to be like a cohesive team. So open division, we were 2nd overall. Second country, so first was USA.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, I mean, it was a tighter race than you might have thought. I think at the end of the day, let me backtrack. So the way things are scored, open division, again, there's 6 in open division. It's the top 4 shooters that make your division score, and then the bottom 2 are dropped off. And every other division, out of the 4 shooters you send, it's the top 3 scores, and the bottom 1 is dropped off. So our top 4 shooters, our cumulative score was, I think it was like 12 or 13 points behind US, and across 20 stages and 4 shooters, that's a pretty tight margin. And then France came up in 3rd. Our ladies division got 3rd, which was really awesome. The team standings for the ladies was the US in 1st. Oh gosh, who was 2nd place? I should know this, but I don't remember right now. Oh, Great Britain. The host country, Great Britain, was 2nd, and Canada was in 3rd. It was a really tight race between Canada in 3rd and the Czechs in 4th. So that was a battle that was well fought by our ladies. Our juniors got 4th overall. Our factory team was 5th overall, and our senior team was 7th. So all in all, pretty good placements by the Canadian teams, and there was 21 countries that were present for the world champs.
Nice.
For starting in 2020, Matt, getting 3rd at the Worlds is pretty incredible. It's like 5 years.
Yeah, I honestly couldn't be happier. I was really, really excited about that.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the results right now. Yeah, it looks like Jess Tischler did pretty good on the ladies' side of things. Yeah, and the team-wise, it looks like we did pretty well as well.
Yeah. So, there was also like an overall country score. The way that was calculated was a bit convoluted. I got a call. Sorry. So the way they calculated that, you can look into later, but Canada was 3rd overall for like the entire country score. I can't remember who was 2nd, but 1st is obviously the States, as you would expect. I think we showed up and we did really well. We showed the world what we can do, and I was really happy with how the team functioned as a support crew. When you weren't shooting, you were out supporting the other shooters on your off days, and everyone worked really well as a team.
Yeah, I'm seeing a bunch of names of people that have been on the show before, like Jess Tischler, Russ Rodriguez, Dorothy, of course. Last time she was on, Ryan Stacy. and I haven't scrolled to the bottom yet, so maybe some
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, Dory was on the ladies team,
Mhm.
and she had a really good time. Like, again, because of the difficulty of the match, she maybe struggled at times, especially to get all the shots off, but she always was giving it 110%, and her mental fortitude through the match was just amazing. So she never gave up. She fought to the end, just like all our other shooters, and at the end I think they were nicely rewarded with the third place overall.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds amazing. What kind of gun were you using? What kind of ammo were you using? I'm curious.
Yeah, so my rifle I chose to bring was the Voodoo Action with the barrel from Desert Precision Gunworks.
Mhm.
Towards the beginning of the season, I was shooting a CZ with the same barrel, but threaded onto my CZ Action, and I had full intentions of bringing that. So I did my MPA chassis in like a Canadian theme and everything. But at the end of the day, I didn't end up shooting the CZ just because, like preference wise, I still prefer the feel of the Voodoo. It's just a little bit, the bolt's a little bit smoother. I feel like I'm faster on it too,
Mhm.
like cycling the bolt and stuff. And nothing really beats a Trigger Tech. So Trigger Tech doesn't make a CZ trigger. So in the end, I did bring the Voodoo, but honestly, they both shoot lights out. It was in my MPA Vanquish chassis. As mentioned before, Trigger Tech trigger. I had a new scope this year. I started running a Schmidt & Bender PM2 6-36.
Ooh.
And the reticle in that for holdovers, especially, I absolutely love. I'm running the TRID TR2 ID reticle. And because we knew this match was going to be tough with tight part times, we had been really focusing on practicing movement as well as holdovers so we could be most efficient with the time available. So as soon as I got the new scope back in the winter, I was training holdovers a lot. I got really good with the reticle, and I only dialed a very few stages this past week. And besides that, had a bunch of like MDT accessories on, like my Skypod, Senate level, Crush It timer, which the Crush It timer honestly was invaluable given the time management of this match. That aspect was critical. So I have my Crush It timer to set. It gives me 3 alarms, halfway point, 20 seconds left, and then 10 seconds left. So I can sort of keep track of my time management on the stage, just hearing the audible beeps as opposed to having to look at a screen. So honestly, the Crush It timer in terms of like accessory, if there was one accessory I could keep on the gun for this match, it would have been the Crush It timer. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Don't need the angle sensors or anything like that. Just that timer. Well, what other goodies you got on that gun to shoot with that third? What else helped you get there?
Let's see. I actually ran the chassis a little bit lighter than I usually do. So usually I have like the 2 big weights on the outside with 3 internal weights, and it sits around like 23, 24 pounds. But I actually stripped off the 2 external weights, and I was only running 2 internals. So it was still balanced really well, but it lightened it up by, I think, like 2.5 pounds. So it was a little bit easier to move quick with. So again, because of the tight part times, I didn't want something that was super clunky, that I felt like I was struggling. And also flying with the rifle, my gun case was like 48.5 pounds. I was trying to keep it under 50. So taking off the weights helped for that too. But that was the weight I was running. A few accessories on it from Yannick Sebleblanc out in Quebec. He 3D prints a lot of great parts for precision rifle accessories, specifically for PRS style matches. So my control item for my support side hand is called the Chicken Wing from Yannick. He sells them on the Gongjo website. So I've been running that for a few seasons now. And what else do I have? It's so decked out these days, it's hard to remember what's on my rifle. Another little doohickey I had was a red dot. So on my diving board mount, I had a red dot. And generally, I don't shoot PRS with a red dot, but because I knew target acquisition was going to be a bit tricky, and personally, one of my weaknesses is target acquisition in the woods. And because the last half of the match was in the forest, basically, like on the side of a mountain, I like to run a little bit higher magnification. But if you get on glass and you're not on target, well, everything just looks like leaves. So if you can't find the target quickly, you're kind of screwed. So I ran the red dot so I could visualize where the target was based on landmarks, put the red dot on it, get on the scope, and the target was always right there. So the red dot was honestly probably gained me a few points. And it was a good it was a good call to run the match with the red dot on there. Yeah.
I'm just looking at the chicken wing right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here.
It's sweet.
I'll share my screen just because
Mhm.
I needed to see it. I'll share with the other guys here, but yeah, it's a little 3D printed doohickey for the side there. So that's your support hand that's holding that down then.
Yeah, that's right. Because we will shoot on top of a barricade bag. So your support side hand, the thumb, basically like this portion of your thumb can hook onto the chicken wing, and the other part of your hand can control your barricade bag. So it's like a sandbag basically. And when you
Mhm.
lock that in, it's like extremely stable, but you can do really small, like fine adjustments on the front of your chassis. So when you lock in with the chicken wing and everything is rock solid, and you can get really good follow through. So I mean, he's a center fire shooter, so he designs all his accessories to work with center fire. And as a rim fire shooter, it's really easy sometimes to get sloppy with your fundamentals, because we can get away with some things, with the lack of recoil. But
Mhm.
It's good to always keep your fundamentals in check. So as a rimfire shooter, my rule of thumb is anything I wouldn't do with my center fire PRS rifle, I don't do with my rimfire, and it sort of helps to keep everything locked in and square and everything. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. That's he's got a whole bunch of cool things on there. Yeah.
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 That sounds amazing. I mean, I never thought about something like that. But yeah, the PRS game seems to be evolving quite quickly from just nice rifles and guys who know how to calculate dope
Yeah.
to people putting some, really pushing the boundaries on go fast and that kind of thing.
Yes.
From the
Yeah.
different
I would
bags.
agree. Yeah, it's really sort of driving people to become better and to sort of find all the marginal gains you can. And I would say, like in the States, I shoot in the States a lot.
Mhm.
Probably more, yeah, definitely more matches in the States during a season than in Canada. And the guys down there are taking it extremely seriously. So if you want to be competitive, you got to really, fight with the best.
Yeah, the best, and not only are they putting the time in, they're getting the gadgets and they're putting the training in on those.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Sounds like an amazing. Where's next year's going to be?
So we're not sure. Well, again, it's every 2 years, but they haven't announced it. There's rumors that it might be in Australia, or it might be. There's two countries that are going on: Australia and Lithuania, which is like kind of random. But there was actually a Lithuanian team. So they obviously shoot PRS rimfire there. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, the qualification period currently for the Capra qualification standards is 2 years. So this year counts towards what would be the 2027 World Championship for this, but we're not quite sure on the location yet.
Got it. And then one of our listeners here has a question. I think you kind of answered it there. Sorry, I'll just click that one more time. But they're saying, I know you can get the CZ457 and the Voodoo Rim-X to perform the same level accuracy-wise. Why'd you choose to run your Voodoo? Easy to balance for MPA? Just a familiarity. Like you're mentioning, the bolt smoothness was one of the factors.
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, as amazing as the CZ is, it's still a like factory action, just with a super awesome custom barrel threaded to it. And the bolt, like it feels fine. Like I could shoot it probably and get the same score, but I just love the feeling of the Voodoo action and smoother. The bolt throw just feels a little bit more natural to me. And like I mentioned before, Trigger Tech doesn't make a trigger for the CZ, and I prefer that over the Timney trigger I have on the CZ. Again, it probably wouldn't affect my score, but it's more of a preference thing. Both the barrels are the same, roughly the same length, and I have a Vanquish for the CZ and the Voodoo. So honestly, I could take either or. I still plan to shoot the CZ. Actually, I got someone at the match last week. CNC's his own magwells, so he gave me an aluminum magwell to test out for the CZ. So I'll run it for sure. It's a great rifle in its own right. And so Dory, she was shooting the CZ, same barreled action, but her barrel is a bit shorter to keep it a little bit lighter. But hers is dropped in the Gen 2 Premier from MDT. Again, a little bit of a lighter chassis, and she's an MDT shooter. So, and I'm MPA. So, but yeah, that chassis is really, really great for her. It's a little bit lighter in general. So her rifle, she doesn't run any weights with her setup. It's just around 17, just over 17 pounds. So it's a little bit more manageable for her. I mean, she's a small Asian lady under 100 pounds or so. So like lifting a 24-pound rifle for her is like equivalent of me trying to like do something with 50 pounds. So it's
Yeah.
not quite the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Tony, Kyle, any questions from you guys?
Did you have to bring your own ammo over there, or did you have to buy ammo there? How's the situation there? Because
Yeah,
we know UK is, kind of limiting in some ways.
for sure. Yeah, actually, sorry, I should have mentioned before. I was shooting Ely 10x for my ammo. Well, I'm also an Ely shooter, so that explains.
So you're going to the correct country then.
Yeah, that's right,
Yeah.
exactly. So I've been shooting Ely for many seasons now. 3 or 4 seasons, I already switched to Ely, and then 10x is what they provide their team shooters. So especially with rimfire, you have to get the right lot. So in Canada, obviously, we don't have the same availability. So lot testing isn't as common. So what I did was I tried to get, there's only like 3 lots of 10X available at the time, but I tested them all and chose the one that worked best for me. And every competitor was approved to bring 1,000 rounds. So most people brought 1,000 rounds, and we were able to purchase ammo there if needed, but I don't think anyone from Team Canada needed to, because the match itself was 240 rounds plus train up days. You're probably not going through more than 500, so we really brought double what we needed to. And it worked out really well. Also, something I was sort of unexpected for me was they actually don't have magazine capacity laws in the UK. So we all were bringing mags with extensions on them, except for factory division was limited to 10 round magazines. So factory division aside, you could run like a +2 or +5 extension. So I was running 12 round magazines for the entire match.
Was 12 like kind of the max you'd fire on a stage anyways?
Yes. So all the stages were 12 rounds. 12 is the max I can fit in my mags. But I mean, for sort of like an insurance policy, some people were running 15 round mags for everything, just in case you have to chuck around. Rimfire can be kind of finicky. Sometimes you have a light strike, you can just dump it. But factory guys, because they were limited to 10 round mags, meant every single stage, if they did in timeout, they had to do a mag change.
Yeah, so I can see that taking a bit more time.
Yeah. And sort of the gamer came out in some in some factory shooters, and they had these mag couplers. So instead of having to reach down the belt, they could just do the little
flip upside down
swap. Yeah, not even upside down. They were side by side. So it was
side
just
by side jungle mags.
Yeah, down and back up. So really, really fast mag changes. And Russ Rodriguez, one of our factory shooters, had a mag coupler that he used.
Cool. Yeah. Tony, Kyle, any other questions?
None from me. Just good job. It was great to see Canada as a whole do so well, and then like obviously yourself, getting podium on just your individual score. But Canada all around. So good to see.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. It was it was something that at first wasn't a goal. I was just head down, going stage by stage. But after my first day of shooting, the scores again are public. It's hard to avoid because people are coming up to you saying good job and stuff. So I realized I was already in. I think I ended day 1 in third. And when you realize you can maybe potentially make a podium happen if you keep it all locked in, it adds quite a bit to like the mental game. So
for sure.
I was trying not to think about it, but honestly, like it's in the back of your head. You don't want to screw it up and potentially give away what could be a third place if you do a silly mistake or something. So yeah.
Cool. Well, well done. Thanks for coming on the show and telling us all about the match, and good luck with the jet lag.
Actually, I do have one more question, actually.
Sure.
Yeah. For the stages, was it basically you roll up on the stage, you get a few minutes to look at it, and then you shoot it? Or did you guys get to pre-walk and pre-plan your stages?
So before the match days, there was practice sessions. However, it was not on the venue, the match location. It was on the venue, but a different firing line, because they wanted to basically show you the environment you'd be shooting at. So we had practice days, and then the day before we walked the firing line, but very quickly just to see the props. You weren't allowed to bring any gear or glass. So we didn't really get to see the targets. You could just see the props that we'd be using. And then when you approach a stage on your shooting day, because it was squads of up to 14 shooters, they really had to keep things rolling. So what every stage officer did was you have 5 minutes to prepare. So you'd go to the stage, the entire squad has 5 minutes to range the targets. They did publish the range in the course book, but everybody always verifies, using your own rangefinder. So you'd have 5 minutes to range, to look at the prop. You're not allowed to touch the prop. You can just look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as the 5 minutes are up, they start the first shooter. But if you're like the last shooter, you could actually be waiting on a stage watching everyone shoot it for 30 minutes or whatever. So,
Right.
And then as a supporting shooter, since my first day of shooting was day 2, I actually saw the first 10 stages on day 1 before I was shooting it. But that's why they keep the same divisions shooting the same day, so it's fair within your own division. So it's not like an NRL Hunter match where you go in completely blind. It's a little bit of a different game,
Kind of in between there.
Yeah, exactly. So you do your own stage prep, but you got 5 minutes, and it's not like because you only have 90 seconds. I mean, it'd be totally unreasonable to have to range things on the clock. So it's all pre-prepped, and then you shoot the stage the way that you plan it, basically.
Okay, cool.
Any other questions? No. All right. Yeah. Matt, thanks again for coming on and telling us all about the IPRF Worlds. Congrats. Well done. And
Thank you.
Hope to see you second or better in a couple of years on that podium.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I'll also mention Dory and I, we sat down today and filmed sort of like it was actually a fairly lengthy debrief.
Mm-hmm.
So you can look out for that video that'll drop on my YouTube channel. I have to edit it, so it might be a couple days, but we each picked some stages specifically and broke it down. So if you want to know more about the stages, we're going to do a more detailed breakdown of some certain stages. We'll explain how we approach them and so on and so forth. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, you're welcome. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Matt.
All right. See you guys later. Cheers.
Thanks again, Matt, for joining us for the main topic on the International Precision Rifle Rimfire Series World Championship, and congratulations on the podium finish.
Yeah.
Let's go to listener feedback. Kyle, do we have any emails?
No, we do not have any emails this week.
What about YouTube comments?
Yes, we have 2 YouTube comments from Eddie.
Awesome.
First comment is, Tony, I don't like hoodies while hunting either. I find it can partially block some of my hearing. As for your toque, you can wear it over your cap if it's cold out. 1911s have firing pin springs. They're drop safe. You may be thinking of a SIG P320? Laughy face. I would assume the liberals ban things or not by referencing the base model. Example, the Blaze 40, or I wouldn't assume, is what he was saying. Example, the Blaze 47 debacle, its base model is a Mossberg Plinkster.
Okay, so I have two things to discuss on this topic. First, apparently the Series 70 guns are not as drop safe as the Series 80 guns for 1911s because they don't have a firing pin block. Can it be drop safe? I believe so, especially if you have a Series 70 gun with a titanium firing pin. That seems to do the trick. But apparently if you drop a stock Colt Series 70 1911, it will go off. Just how the history books have it written. The second thing is on the Blaze 47. I'm guessing because they have a different model name and probably
it was dressed up as an AK-47. That's it. It was the same receiver as it's a Mossberg Plinkster, but different furniture, and that's why it was banned.
But does it have a different reference number?
Well, it was sold as a different SKU.
Well,
right?
yeah.
So, but that's just a prime example. Like it is a Mossberg Plinkster. It was the Blaze 47 version of that.
Well, then I have to look into if the look like a modern sporting rifle TM22 shares the same FRT as the regular base model TM22 or not. And I'm thinking they couldn't really selectively ban it at that time. So
they yeah, they flipped through a catalog. Oh, that looks scary. That looks like an AK-47. that's banned. Like,
Right, but I'm thinking that's because they have a different FRT. Because if you flip to the page that says TM22, it wouldn't look scary. And maybe they will not do things to it. I don't know. Again, our government
I
isn't
get what
to be
he's saying.
reasoned with.
Don't try and use logic with them banning stuff.
That is very fair.
His second comment here, man, flying with firearms to Hungary, or anywhere for that matter, without prior permit sounds risky. You can end up being turned around and booking an expensive flight home if they decide to reject you for whatever reasons, or worse yet, in a foreign jail. Absolutely. I mean, that was kudos to Justin for doing that, but man, I don't know if I could have enjoyed the trip over until actually getting into the country because of that hanging over the head. I don't know exactly what's happening. But it worked out for him.
Yeah.
I absolutely
that's-
hear you on that, Eddie.
Like, especially like foreign law, you want to triple check everything, right?
Yeah.
Like, so, not recommended. Not recommended.
Well, I mean, he did his research. There was no other way. He did his research, and so kudos. I just know I wouldn't have been able to relax on that trip until that got done, but
That's fair.
yeah. It's not like he just willy-nilly went and did it. He did his research and did all he could, so.
And that's all the YouTube comments for this week. If you like to send us a comment, you can do that on YouTube, or well, I don't think we read Facebook that often, except on the live show. If you like to email the show, send them to slamfireradio@gmail.com. Thank you to our patrons that support us on Patreon. If you'd like to support us, you can find us on Patreon. And if you'd like to buy something from Brownells or Cabela's, we have affiliated link on the site of slamfireradio.com. By using these links, you will support the show, and we'll talk about your anonymous purchases at the end of usually a quarter at this point. Shoutouts and recommendations. Kyle?
Well, I'm going to shout out Team Canada, Matt, and the rest of Team Canada for the stellar performance at Rimfire Worlds. Incredible. It was great to see Canada on multiple podiums, both individual and as a nation. So yeah, no, that was good to see. And why not? I'll shout out the US too for taking top honors in pretty much everything. Still, my new home.
That's kind of crazy though, because I know rimfire sports are not as popular in the US, or at least not as covered, I'm gonna say. But they're still doing very well. They do what they're best at, shooting things. I'll give a recommendation to 3 channels: Hunting Gear Guy, Forgotten Weapons, and CN Arsenal, spelled as C, the ampersand, letter R, SENAL. So they have great resources on car channels, and CN Arsenal have breakouts for example, there's like 4 types of different bayonet mounts on the Carcano carbine. Imagine that. And they have like 3 more because the infantry rifle have a completely different style. So interesting watch if you're interested in buying your own Carcano carbine in Canada. They're still very available comparing to, say, a Mosin Nagant. And I didn't have the chance because this was an online order, but if the shop will let you take the one you want, maybe you'll be able to find a good one. Join our Discord server. Watch us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Player. Join the CCFR, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Good night, Kelly.